All right, welcome students. We are looking at how we can make a building like the Space Needle here, where it has some long legs, this kind of tower shape. So we could do the Space Needle here, or we also could do the Eiffel Tower, which is loading up right now. So both of these kind of go off the same principle. It's not a perfect looking Eiffel Tower, but you get the idea here. So I have the basic idea here is we're going to design one leg and then rotate it around to make all the other legs. And then pretty much it's an interlocking like you've done before here, but it's kind of rotating around this center axis. So let's go ahead and get started here. In our sketch here, we are going to start a new one, hide that and hide all those other planes there. We're going to start off with a nice center line, as we love to do here. And that's going to be the center axis. We're going to rotate everything around. So for this project, we can do it a little bit larger in the laser cutter there. Let's say like 6 inches max is probably a good height. And so when we start this off, I'm going to start drawing here. And again, your leg shouldn't actually touch this center line here. As you see here with the Space Needle, I'm going to turn on my original sketch there so you can see it. That center line is going right down the middle there. It's not actually touching. We're going to spin everything around that dotted line you see in the center, the construction line there. So you can use any shape you really want there. I'm going to start off with a spline and go like so. I'll make a nice little curve there if you like to do a kind of Space Needle design type thing here. And we'll do another one, and maybe I want it to be a little wider at the bottom. And that's pretty good. I'll give it a line going through the top here. If you wanted to do the Eiffel Tower, you'd probably make it a little bit different here, and you probably want to give it a flat top. But for the Space Needle design, what we have here is some stacking layers that fit on top, and some little pegs that slid up into that there, as you see there. So let's jump back over there, and we're going to pretend we're doing the Space Needle right now. Since we're in Washington, right? Gotta give props to the Space Needle, right? And as always, when we're dimensioning this should be the thickness of the wood. We are dealing with 1/8 of an inch thick stuff here. All right, that's looking pretty good here. And so you can really put any design you want in this area to kind of give it some cool designs and patterns there. You can see the Space Needle has a whole bunch of holes there. But before we do that, we want to put in a couple notches here. So there's kind of like the lower floor of the Space Needle that we are going to have to do that interlocking part on. And this is going to really make everything a lot more stable here as well. So that should also be the thickness of the wood there. And it's looking pretty big now. I might want to adjust this a little bit. You might have to play around with this as you go. Feel free to come back and adjust these measurements and move things around here a little bit. And for now, for the Space Needle, you pretty much have the basic design here that you want. Feel free to go in and add some little holes in here, give it a little decoration stuff as you go here, but that's the basic shape we're going for. The Eiffel Tower would have another notch here at the top for the top floor. As you can see here in the design, we basically have the same thing that we have on the lower floor, but up top there. So let's go ahead and extrude this. And this time when we extrude this, it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to say extrude, and I'm going to want to rotate it around this center line. And as you can see here, when it's 1 inch thick, it's really obvious. That's not the center line there that we're going to rotate it around isn't really in the center vertically this way from our piece anymore. So it's going to really help us out if we can make it in the center there, and look at that. If we change that setting to symmetric, that means it's extruding in both directions, up and down at the same time. So it's still lined up there. We're going to change that to, again, the thickness of the wood, 1/8. And now that's looking really good. Now we're going to say OK. after we double check anything on there. Yeah, we got our little notches there. Everything's looking pretty good. All right. So now let's bring that sketch back so I can see it again. And here comes the fun part. We've done circular patterns before, but now we're using the 3D circular pattern. So this one's in 3D mode. We're going to do a circular pattern on this object around the axis being this line, and bingo. We got 4. The Eiffel Tower has 4 legs. If you're looking at the actual Eiffel Tower, 4 legs on it. Space Needle only has 3. They're kind of split into 2 parts there. If you want to try and do that, you're welcome to. But we, for the Space Needle, want to only do 3 there. Looking pretty good. And this is the next step here. We're going to make the lower floor on the Space Needle, and we're going to say, hide that sketch so we don't have to look at that for a second. And here we go. We're starting a new sketch, and just like we did when we're interlocking things, we're going to start a sketch on that little surface there. And then we're going to say use that surface and that surface. And I could go and do this one too and try and draw the whole shape I'm going to do here. But I want this to be radially symmetrical. So a circular pattern is what I'm going to use here in a little bit. And instead of drawing all the sides of this shape I'm going to put in there, I'm going to, let's see if I can get this to work here. Click there, and look at that. I'm getting that all lined up there, like so. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side here. On it like so. All right. And then the other thing I'm going to need, I'm going to turn on this sketch for a second. I'm also going to use that point there so I get the nice center point of the whole thing there. I'm going to hide this for a second and hide this other one just so it's a little easier to see here. I'm looking straight down from above now. And you can really play around with this and make this any shape you want. I'm going to set these to be equal length. And we'll play around with this a little bit. Maybe I want to do, oh, you know what I could do? No, we won't do that right now. We'll do a nice curve arc maybe. It's really up to you. Yeah, that looks pretty good right there, right? Now, instead of trying to draw that the same over here, I'm going to do a circular pattern. And I want to circular pattern this, this. Actually, I don't need that line. I need that, and I need that, and I need that. I need to put it right in the center there, and look at that. Everything lines up there. Bingo bango. And I'm going to just trim off. Let's go back in there. I'm going to trim off some of these lines I don't need, just so it's a little nicer to look at there. All right, I should delete those too. So now we're going to extrude this, and just like we did when we were interlocking things, 1/8 of an inch thick there. Let's turn all these pieces back on so you can see where it's fitting in there. Ooh, that looks pretty good. All right, that looks nice. Okay. So as you can see in my example over here, I made a couple extra layers that stacked on top of there, making sure that I had to have an extra little cutout there so that this piece wouldn't crash into the leg of the piece there. I made some extra pieces there that could probably get filled in a little bit better. But there's some extra pieces that you can do this more than once if you like. That's the basic idea. But next I'd like to show you, if you are doing the Space Needle here, these top parts, we'll talk about doing the top here real quick. And this video is getting long, so we're going to try and wrap this up pretty quick here. You might notice that I'm not going to be telling you all the things because you guys are getting pretty good at this. I'm expecting that you guys can kind of use what we've learned so far and try some things out on your own. So what I just did there is I made the top view and I traced those top pieces so that I can now have a center point there too. And got that there. Extruding that. That looks pretty good. Just trace those pieces. And let's turn this back on for a second so you can see all that. Looks great. I would really recommend stacking some more layers here like you see in my example here. But for the sake of time right now, I am going to show you how we did that, those little kind of different pieces at the top here. So we're going to say sketch, and I'm going to say sketch on this surface again. That sounds pretty good. And I'm going to start drawing some stuff. Maybe I want these pieces to kind of go start there. So they're going through there, making a little notch here is what I'm going for. And I'm just making something up here, going like this maybe. All right. Maybe I want a spline on there, make it a nice little curve. Boop-a-doop-a-doo, boop-a-doop-a-doo. And we'll go all the way out to the edge. It's really up to you, right? Yours, again, you should probably put some more layers in here before you do this step. But what I'm doing here is making this whole thing interlock here. So I'm just making some little tabs that are going to fit through. Notice I'm not building tabs that are going to go through this portion here because there's already a piece coming from below coming up there. And then I can extrude this, and I have a nice first piece here. You would make yours better than mine. As always, I'm doing this real quick just to show you guys. And we're going to do a circular pattern again on that piece, and the axis this time should be that same center axis we used in the beginning from sketch number 1. And look at that. Oh, see how it's off center there? We're going to have to fix that in a second, but that's a great start there. So maybe I want more of those. Maybe I want 6 this time. It's really up to you. Actually, 8 would be a better number because, oh no, 6 is good because it's 3 legs on this thing. All right, but it looks weird. So we're going to come back to our extrude, and we're going to flip the direction, and that's going to be in the center this time. You might need to do symmetric again, but play around with that. Notice now that it's going to be in the center. That's what we're looking for. And our circular pattern looks a little bit better. You can see they're bumping into each other there, though. That's not good. We're going to have to come back. You're going to have to play with this and tweak it around a little bit. Have some fun with that. There we go. Looking pretty good, though. And so now we got this whole thing going together here. But you'll notice that these pieces here, when I hide them, they don't have holes in this piece we have below right now. So here's the last little trick I'm going to show you here, because I'm trying not to show you all the steps, as I said earlier. So we're going to turn those back on for a second. So we're going to use these gray pieces to cut a hole in the blue piece there. And how we're going to do that is this tool called Boolean, and we're going to say subtract. So Boolean, kind of like it looks like a little Venn diagram. So it does things with the portions of things that overlap. So we could say union would like kind of weld them together and make them one piece. That's not really what we want to subtract things. So we want to use these tools, or these pieces are going to be the tools here. And I'll grab all those there. And the target, the thing I want to cut the hole in, is going to be this other piece, the blue piece there. Click on that, and look at that. You can see all those holes are going to be made there. Whew. Look how easy that was. I didn't have to do any measuring or anything. That was pretty slick. And right now, if I push OK, all these pieces are going to disappear as soon as you want to delete them as you cut the hole there. You don't want to do that. So we're going to say keep tools, and bingo, you now have all those holes in the piece, and everything's going to fit together real nice there. So that is the quick rundown on how to do a Space Needle or Eiffel Tower. This can be used on anything you want. You could do the Eye of Saruman, right, from Lord of the Rings if you're geeking out on some stuff. But again, yours should not look like this. If you're doing the Space Needle, give it some more layers, give it some detail on these legs, right? Hopefully we're aiming for something that has a little more realistic look to it, because this is a pretty advanced project for you guys. All right, take your time on this. Enjoy. Later, Gators. Later, skaters. I'll see you in class. Peace.